I don't know how to explain it really. This is something that's really personal that I'm sharing today. I know it's about business, but it's personal as well. So what is today about then? This is, I think the title is, What If 2020 Turned Out to be a Great Year? Mm. And what I'm going to talk about is how we went from having our worst month ever in March when the coronavirus thingy hit to now having a waiting list of clients. But not just telling you the story, I've picked out 12 big tips. Some of them are business, some of them are marketing. And I thought you could perhaps use these. What am I saying? You can use these, if I can use these, to kickstart your own business and make 2020 a truly great year. So Zork has joined us. Lovely to see you, Inez. You look lovely. I've got a fan here, Inez, because I was very warm. Got myself all in a tiz because I was trying to find a tissue. So if that's there, I've got the water there. I'll have a gin later. So let's get going. Now, I'm not going to rattle on too much about why we're here. If you don't know why we're talking about, could we turn 2020 into something fabulous? You've probably been living in a cave. We know it's been, so far, uncomfortable, scary, painful, and maybe raw. That's a word that somebody used with me yesterday, and I think that's what it's done for quite a lot of us. And the year, I was having this conversation as well, it seems to have screamed at us so far for the last, what are we, God, blimey, we're in the 8th month of the year. I know it started sort of February, March-ish. Just seems to have been going on forever. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do with 2020? You've got 4.5, nearly 5 months left. What are you going to do? Give up? Because I'm not a cat in hell's chance. Something has to change. And maybe that's what this year is about. I don't know. Maybe it's you that has to change. It's certainly been me that had to change. And I'm going to tell you how that happened. So you have a choice. One of my major roles on this planet is to tell people they've got choices, to discuss the consequences, and to help you make decisions. I'm going to present a lot of choices to you today. 2020 could be written off as a year full of crises that could potentially bring us down. Yes, there are people dying, but there are people dying every day from other things as well. Let's get a drop of perspective here. There are financial implications, there are health implications, there are consequences on relationships and your self-esteem and your mental health as well. We all have choices as to how we respond to what life throws at us. I refuse to go under. Absolutely refuse. We nearly did. We could have done. I'm going to explain. We could have gone under, but we chose not to. I would like you to consider that as an option. Well, those of you who know me as a very bossy red would like you to just do something about it. Make that choice now. I would like to encourage you to use 2020 as the year that you make some big decisions about how you're going to spend the rest of your life, not just 2020, the rest of your life, doing something that you love, doing the stuff that you were put on the planet to do. So what if 2020 is the year you've been waiting for a kick up the rear end, because that's what it's done for us. Didn't feel like it at the time, But with retrospect, that's what I can see. That's why I started to catalogue what we'd done and thought this could help you. So I'm going to walk you through the timeline of our business over the last 5 months. That's March, April, May, June, and July, because that's really when the coronavirus hit us. It might be different for you. March was our worst month ever. And we are now in a position of, my goodness, we've got a thriving business. I'd love for you to have the same, but it all starts up here. It's not just hard work that got us to where we are now. Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you the story of how I've been getting the balance right. I'm not there yet. This morning I nearly went under for another reason. And then I have to remember I have the choice of what I think, how I choose to respond to situations that slap me around and have the ability, the potentiality to push me under. I am choosing. I am not going down. I'm not going down. I think the phrase is, I'm not going down without a fight. I am just not going down. All right? Okay. So if you're sitting comfortably, and I do recommend you have a pen and paper because I've got 12 big tips I'm going to point out to you that I think, I know, will help you. So let us set the scene. Back in February this year, we were poised to raise the prices of all our training courses and resources, all of them. That was going to be our business plan for probably the first 6 months of the year, so probably up to now. And then COVID hit, and the business went, I haven't been able to think of a word. The business went, bleh. Sorry. It's just, March 2020 was our worst month ever. Financially, emotionally, we both looked at each other, Neil and I, thought, what do we do? We could have gone down the tubes, we could have given up, we could have let the bleh take over, but we aren't like that. Neil particularly isn't like that. We firmly believe life is for living, for enjoying to the full, regardless of what the rest are up to, regardless of what the news, the government, the institutions you belong to are telling you. I mean, life is for doing what you're put on the planet for. That's why we continue to have a successful business. That's why we're still here, in spite of all the ups and downs through the years, not just this one. We have experienced famine and feast. Oh, I could sit here for hours and tell you. We believe in that great old adage of picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and starting all over again. So in March, after we'd got over the initial shock, we decided to do something I'd sworn never to do. Excuse me. Sorry, it's making me cough and laugh because it's so true. I swore I would never create a course to teach consultants how to take their business online. Swore I'd never do it. Too difficult. Excuse me. But that's what I did because, and I'll explain why. After all, face-to-face consultant, I was explaining this to a friend and her partner yesterday. She's making me some jewellery. We were just sat having a cup of tea. And he was saying, what do you do? He didn't know. And I said, what you've got to understand is that what we were doing was teaching people all over the world, and we have done for the last 17 years. We teach consultants how to run consultations in a face-to-face environment. That's why March was because That became illegal in most countries. You couldn't sit face to face with your client. So I thought, right, maybe the answer to this is to create an online, let me put this in the right order, to create a course to teach consultants how to do their work online. But before we launched into this, we did something significant. We asked our clients what they would like to do right now, how they wanted to continue, and we listened to what they had to say. So this is big tip number one. Are you asking your clients what they want? Because if you just go out and launch a program about this, or an offering about that, or a service about the other, and they don't want it, you are wasting your time. So we asked our consultants what they wanted, and they all said that they were upset about the coronavirus thingy, and they weren't sure what to do next. Now listen to what I've just said. They didn't say, we want you to teach us how to go online. They said, well, the more business-like consultants did, because they could see the opportunity. But the majority were nowhere near that level of thinking. They were getting caught up in the blah and listening to the doomsayers that the end of the world was nigh, etc. And it's, yeah, I've been there on so many occasions. I know what that feels like. They didn't say we want a course to teach us how to go online. They said we're upset. We don't know what to do. So I decided to help people where they were at that point. This is what I'm encouraging you to do. So what I did was ran some live webinars about how to cope during these, I hate this term, but I'll use it here, uncertain times. It's been used to death, but you know what I mean. You see, what we discovered was that our consultants were feeling really down. Those who'd been talking to us about perhaps training to become an image consultant were suddenly sideswiped. They didn't know what to do next. So I knew that I had some ideas to help them focus on the good stuff, which is part of why I'm doing this today. I want you to start thinking positively. I'm so bossy. You see, because one of the mainstays of my life, and it always will be, is that every cloud has a silver lining, but you have to look for it. You're not sent stuff that you can't cope with. I think that was on Tut this morning, wasn't it? Or was it yesterday? Whatever comes your way, you've got inside you and around you. You have the ability to deal with it. What you have to do is dig deep and look at your skills and your gifts and talents and make a decision that you are going to deal with it. So my job, as I keep saying, is to point out that you always, always have choices. And those webinars that I ran, they gave me an opportunity to encourage people like you to stop and think about what you really, really want. And as I said, maybe that's why we're in this at the moment. Maybe it's you're not listening to me, you're not making the most of yourself, so I'll bring you something that jolly well does. Stop. Think about what you're doing. And only then did I ask them to let me know what would help them keep their colour, style, image business going, if that's what they had decided they wanted to do. You see, I had this idea that creating a course to teach consultants how to take your colour business online, but I didn't know whether anyone would be interested. I had to gauge the feelings. So big tip number 2, do your research before you launch anything. I learned this years ago. Thank God. So I did my research by offering 3 ways, three ways, one for different learning styles to encourage people to keep on keeping on. That's a good one. So I created a video called Turning a Negative into a Positive. I pulled out an audio that I'd created a long time ago when I ran a VIP mastermind, and that was called Is the Law of Attraction Relevant to Your Business? Because there's a load of stuff in there about positive thinking. This is about keep on keeping on. And I wrote an article called How to Stop Struggling with Your Confidence Levels. I created all 3, made them free, and it was research, because I was saying to people, here's the information that might help you start thinking about what you really want, and then asking for feedback. Can you do this? This is my big tip number 2. What can you do to encourage your clients to open up and let you know where they are? And then what could you offer your clients so that you can encourage them and promote your own services at the same time? See, big tip number 3, your job as a business owner is to identify your ideal client's current problem and decide if you can offer a solution to that. Now, I'm not asking you to become a counselor or a coach or a shoulder to cry on. That's not what this is about. It's just establishing the mood of your clients. Where are they? Because if they've gone under, they're not going to buy anything from you. They're not going to book with you. But if they are about to go under, or you feel they can be brought up by something fabulous that you create for them, isn't it worth it? Isn't that what we're here to do? To encourage and inspire and support each other, especially during time of crises. So our own problem, you have to understand, this is in March. Our own problem was tied up in all this. All our income had dried up in March. And if we wanted to survive as a business and continue to provide you with the video, I mean, we have to pay Vimeo to provide the videos. We have to pay Zoom to run a Zoom webinar. We have to pay our internet provider and our email provider and our accountant and we've got so many business expenses. If we've got no money coming in, we can't pay those people, and our business goes down. So we had a problem that we needed to sort. So we needed to know what our clients were thinking, how they were feeling, so that we could create or offer them what they needed. And we had to work out a way of making money ethically, because our business is built on honesty and integrity. We don't tell lies. I can't, because I always imagine my mum coming down from heaven and slapping me around the back of the ear, because that's how she brought me up. I just tell it like it is. Now, what we could have done was madly discount all our courses and resources and just hit people with loads of offers. But do you see, well, first of all, we've tried that loads of times over the years, and the results have always been pretty naff, to be honest. It goes against the grain for our business plan now. And also, that wasn't what people were saying they needed. They didn't say, oh, I'd like to set up a colour analysis course. If you can offer it me at sixpence halfpenny, I'll buy it. That wasn't their problem. Their problem, excuse me, don't know what that was. I have a thing about spiders and flies. So if I suddenly shoot off the chair, you'll know where I've gone. most of them weren't thinking about business. They were too caught up in the panic of the possibilities that coronavirus had brought. Now, how were they going to cope with the kids at home? How are they going to cope with the husband at home? I mean, that's that's probably a bigger one. How are they going to cope without being able to nip to the shops when they felt like it? How would they cope not knowing if they were going to have a job to go back to, or how they were going to pay the bills? All these things, they were far more important than buying a course. What I did with those videos, audios, articles, webinars, whatever, was met people where they were at that moment. What about you? How could you do that? And by doing this, those people were then able to consider moving forward with their business dreams or not, their choice. And those who did, they told us they'd love to go online, but they hadn't a clue how to do it. So it generated even better conversations with those people who did want to go online, because they actually told us, because they'd opened up, they told us why they didn't feel they could do it. The main reason was they were scared of the technology. I'm with you. If I didn't have Neil, I mean, he set all this up this morning, and he came in and he said, right, test your microphone. I said, how do you do that? Because I forget. I'm a big picture person. Don't remember details. Thank God he's blue. He's got all the details in his brain. I had a Zoom meeting. I've had a few Zoom meetings recently. I've learned how to use that. So that had taken over. I come back to a Zoom webinar and think, what do I click? So I'm totally with you on that one. But we've got a genius in the other office. Well, that's outside, he's over there, who just knows this stuff inside out. And he said, it's easy. I said, well, it might be for you. He said, I'll write a document about the technology so that anybody can do this online. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And the other thing they told us was, which is obvious, but we waited for people to tell us in their own words, they didn't think they'd be able to diagnose seasons or tones online without having the living, breathing client in front of them, or without using drapes. Those were the two main criteria that people said, if you can teach us how to do those, we'll buy your course. That's what they were saying. So I sat down and I drew out the contents of a brand new course called Colour Your Client Fabulous Online, designed to address those exact requirements. So module 1, Neil wrote, and it shows even the most, how can I say this nicely without swearing, the most frightened technophobe on the planet, how to use really simple technology that you're probably already using to take orders and payments online, and how to deliver a bespoke colour personality experience to any client anywhere in the world. That was module 1. Module 2 was all about colour personality, because that's my thing, and I wanted this to be different from all the other stuff out there. And module 3, I included a plethora of techniques that I've used over the years that allow you to diagnose seasons and or tones without having the client in front of you and without having to use drapes. And that's what we created. We created a course that met the criteria our clients were looking for. We'd also been thinking about how else we could help those who wanted to take our training courses but were feeling the pinch right now. Obviously, people were thinking, oh my God, I've got the mortgage to pay. This is before all the mortgage companies were, how shall I put this, exhorted, encouraged by the government, certainly in the UK, to offer mortgage payment holidays. But up to that didn't happen immediately. I mean, the response across the world to how to cope was pathetic, in my opinion. But there you go. I just wonder if women would have done it differently. Perhaps so. I'm trying not to be sexist here, but there are precedents for this. Discussion, please, in our free Facebook group later. That would be fab. So we delayed the price increases that had been planned to start in March. And what we did on the 29th of March, we changed all our payment plans to be interest-free. First time ever. And we extended them to 11 months. I think there'd been 8 up to that point. Now, by law in the UK, we're only allowed to offer payment plans over 12 months. Our accountant would prefer us if they were to offer only 10 months, but they're 11 at the moment and they're interest free. And if you pay in full, you save more money. So we didn't put our prices up and we made it easier for people to get involved. So big tip number 4, what can you do in this vein to help your prospects and clients invest with you? Could you offer payment plans? Do you offer them now? Could you make them easier? Could you extend the length of those plans? And please don't start discounting or reducing your prices. It didn't help anybody. There were huge discussions and lots of people getting grumpy, saying you should offer this for free. No, you shouldn't. I've got my mortgage to pay. I've got food to put on the table. I've got a business to pay for. And if I don't pay my bills, I can't help other people. Yeah. There's time for philanthropy, and that is when you've got your own house in order, in my book. What you're offering is worth exactly what it was worth before all this happened. Don't discount. So then on April the 1st, we invited those who had already invested with us. We always give our loyal clients first dibs, and we give them a better deal than anybody else. And we invited them to take advantage of a great deal for the new Colour Your Client Online course. We sent one text email, that was all. And over the next 36 hours, we sold 17. Not bad start, which proved that we'd done the research and we had a marketable product. Big tip number 5. We offered a great saving on this new course to our loyal clients as a thank you. What can you do for those who've already invested with you? On the 4th of April, we promoted this new course at a slightly higher price to everyone else on our list and those who hadn't taken up our original offer. And we ran a free webinar on the 5th called Why You Need Colour Your Client Fabulous Online. And we sold more. On the 7th of April, I ran another free webinar called How to Avoid Those Depressing Duvet Days. And we sold 8 more. Then on the 9th of April, so that's only 2 days later, we offered a bonus free session all about how to create a strategy for your business. So and we sold even more. So I said, looking at the practicalities and delving deeper into what you really want, both now and when lockdown ends, so that you can create a plan of action to achieve your dreams and aspirations with ease and grace. It's designed to help you prepare now for taking your colour business online. 3 days later, I ran another free webinar, how to keep your image business alive during lockdown. These 3 free webinars are still available on the Colour Your Client online sales page. The strategy session, the bonus strategy session, is now part of the content of that course. It's too good to be free. That's become part of the content. But they're there still selling that course. And then on the 16th of April, we sent out an email saying, right, this is the last chance to get this at a low introductory price because it's time to move things along. And we sold more. Surely not, I hear you say. So yes, we sent out a lot of emails. We did a lot of free webinars. And then on the 19th of April, I couldn't believe when I found this, I did another free webinar called How to Create a Crisis-Proof Colour Consultancy. And that is still available on my Facebook business page. So up to that point, we'd sold, I don't know, 40, we've sold over 50, going on for 60 courses so far, all at differing price points. Not bad for a course that was designed, promoted, created, and delivered all within 10 days. Nearly killed me. More about that later. Big tip number 6. Notice how many emails and free webinars I created. Yes, lots of people unsubscribe from our list, but as all my business mentors have said, good. They unsubscribe, they create space for other people who really want to work with you. Fabulous. Some people said, oh, too many emails. Well, not my problem. That's your perspective. You have to keep reminding your prospects and your clients that you're still around and still in business. Because if you don't tell them, they might think you're like some of the big department stores. I see Virgin Atlantic's just filed for bankruptcy. They read about those in the paper, but you, unless you tell them, they've no flipping idea. You have to tell them, remind them you're still there. In my book, the free webinars and the emails I was sending was just encouraging people, supporting them and inspiring them, not specifically to buy my products, but to do something. Make a decision. Get your head out of the sand. Decide to live, because it's your choice. And if you have something that they should seriously consider investing in, like I still believe, Colour Your Client Online, and it's still sold 2 this week already. What day is it? Wednesday. Well, Sunday and Monday. Sold 2 more, just out of the blue. It's going to keep on selling. It's going to keep on making us money. If you've got something like that, or you've got an online version of your colour analysis or your style analysis that you can offer, you have to explain to these people why they should do that. Don't just tell them about it. You have to tell them why. That's a whole different webinar. Don't get me started on that. See, during a crisis situation, people can lose heart very quickly. Maybe you identify with that. We did in the first couple of weeks of March as we looked at no sales. How the hell are we going to pay for everything? What are we going to do? Shall we go and live on the beach? Ah, dear. All these things go through your head, don't they? What I did was simply keep coming up with ideas about how I could encourage, support, inspire prospects and existing clients to do something. Even though life may look bleak right now, every cloud has a silver lining. So what can you offer your clients your prospect right now that will make them feel fabulous? Is it just a story like this of how? Tell them my story. Borrow my story. Stories are stories. This is the truth. You're just telling a story. Tell your own story. How can you edutain them? So that's a lovely new word I picked up from another mentor. To educate and to entertain. Put the two together. To edutain people. We want to make their life feel worthwhile and give them hope. March had been our worst month ever. April was our best month since the previous December. And every month since then has got better and better. So at the beginning of May, we launched ourselves. No, let's get this right. I launched myself with verve and vigor at the month of May and started madly promoting colour analysis training in a box, which has always been our flagship program, because there were people who were now saying to us, can I learn colour analysis from Colour Your Client Online? No. That is to take your existing colour business online. It's a short course and you have to bring those skills already. So then people said, okay, so I'd like to learn colour from scratch. So what we did, we created a promotion and added Colour Your Client Online for free, just for a short period of time to encourage more sales. Big tip number 7. What incentives can you offer your clients? Oh, sorry, I'm lying. Let me go back. What incentives can you offer your prospects? Those people who haven't invested with you yet. So if you offer a consultation right now, could you add on a free bonus webcam call or a free bespoke written profile? Or could you, if you offer, if you sell makeup or accessories, a free lipstick or something out of your stock? Or could you offer them a coupon toward a future service when they take up your offer? Or could you offer them an online version of what you have offered in the past? And I would recommend also that you do this for the first 3 to order. Will get a free webcam call with me when I'll look at you and give you my bespoke advice, suggestions, hints and tips. You can narrow down what you're going to talk to them about. You could say it's going to be for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. So it's for the first 3 only, because that will inspire people to book. This is called scarcity in the 6 weapons of influence, which all copywriters use as their foundation. And also it's by a set expiry date. So when we offered Colour Your Client Online for free, we said for everybody who orders by Friday. And that inspired 2 ladies who had been thinking about buying colour analysis in a box to make that purchase quicker so that they got the free course. What can you do? That was May, even better than April. But by the middle of May, I was feeling completely and utterly done for, health-wise. We weren't only promoting madly, we weren't only creating courses and writing newsletters and presenting webinars on top of it. We were also discussing all the financial impact, the financial implications, I should say, of the COVID experience on our business. So we were talking with the accountant. We've got things that we plan to do that the accountant was aware of, and she was helping us practically with that. All that went by the board in April. All that stopped. We suddenly thought, oh my God, now do we do what we do? So there was the stress of that. I'd overcooked myself in the work department, which I do. I just go overboard. And I think some of the stress that I brought with me from March, I'd suppressed, and it's got to come out sometime. And you know, I had some good bursts into tears, and I had to lie down in a darkened room on many occasions. I was not very well at all. There I was. You have to laugh, which fortunately I have the ability to do, especially at myself. There I was, busy encouraging the world and his mother to take a good long look at what they'd been doing and what they'd really rather be doing. And there I was, bumbling along like a tart in a colander, just doing the same old, same old. Sometimes you just have to slap yourself. And that's what Neil did. He slapped me. And he sent me to sit in the front room, curl up in a ball, do lots of Sudokus, read books. I rediscovered reading books. I hadn't done it for months. And watching lots of murder mysteries on the television just to chill out and get my energy back. I wasn't in a good state of repair at all. So you can imagine what happened next. I decided to take a dose of my own medicine and look at this for ourselves. So we've had lots of meetings where we've been looking at what we've been doing, what we had been doing, and then what we'd perpetuated, what we wanted to do, and it keeps getting shelved. And realised we needed to make some critical changes. We'd got much bigger plans than doing all this firefighting and getting stressed and overworking and doing 96,000 of this, that, and the other. We've been busy responding to different crises for years. My pattern. And it was obvious that the pattern needed to change. Because if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Kim. And this is why I'm saying 2020 is an opportunity to look at what you're doing, because that's what we did. And we realized that was no longer what we wanted. It wasn't what Neil wanted. It wasn't what I wanted. We're not here just to get through. We're here to make the most of our innate gifts and talents, our learned skills, and what we love doing, what we're put here on the planet for. And I realized if I didn't stop working so hard, I was going to end up really poorly sick. So I stopped in May marketing madly. I stopped posting in Facebook groups. I only answered emails that were absolutely necessary. And we started talking about what we really wanted for the future of our business and for our life. Yes, don't worry, the image color stuff will carry on. It's darned good stuff. And it totally complements what we actually want to do. But our focus now will be helping business women who are stuck to get really clear on who they are, what they really want, laughing, and how to create the business they've always dreamed of. Because how did I discover that? Well, during the last week of May, out of the blue, I'm going to use this term a lot, out of the blue, the opportunity came to work with a previous mentor. She and I had worked together since 2009, so we know each other really well. So I know her stuff. I know I can trust her with various aspects that I needed to get. And the opportunity came to work with her on a 30-day intensive for the month of June about how to get a steady stream of clients. And even when I'd worked with her back in, I don't know, 2000, I can't remember, 2015 probably was the last time. I'd learned all this stuff, but never implemented it because I'm a red and I don't do what I'm told. And it just felt utterly perfect. The timing was right. I was ready. For 30 days, I immersed myself in this. I didn't do all the other stuff. I think we sent out 4 newsletters, 1 per week. I think that's all I managed. Didn't do webinars or just totally immersed myself in this 30-day intensive. And it challenged all my major beliefs, which were all total rubbish, by the way. You know, the stuff, what I can't do, what I could never do, what I'd never be able to achieve, how true success would always pass me by, and how I'd end up in an old people's home with a tartan blanket around my shoulders and a colostomy bag on my knee, wondering if only I'd done that course, if only I'd created a program, if only I'd, all that. What could I have achieved? God's teeth. I teach all this, and the very thought of that happening to me makes me want to vomit. It really does. I mean, it really. If ever I get to that, anybody, Neil, anybody who knows me, if I ever get like that, you have my full permission to shoot me. Whinging and moaning about everything, from the prices in the shops to what the government aren't doing, or discussing the number of tablets I have to take every day. Oh, God's teeth. Anyway, back to the course. Slight deviation from schedule there. I say intensive. Oh my God, intensive. I should have known. Oh dear. I was nearly on my knees, and I had to lie down in a darkened room again on more than one occasion during that month. Now, what we were being taught, because it was a group, what we were being taught was one of the things we were being taught was how to use social media to generate leads and start conversations. I have not implemented one of those, which is typical of me. I will, absolutely, because they're absolutely brilliant, but I didn't need to. Because as I kept reporting back to the group and my mentor, clients and sales just keep popping up out of the blue. And they did. In the first 4 days of June, we invested 4 figures in this business, in this course. In the first 4 days, I'd made that back and more. We were in profit. And I hadn't done any of the coursework. Well, I'd done the coursework, but I'd not implemented it. That's what I mean. Why? Because I dealt with all this crap up here. I dealt with all those stupid beliefs that I've carried around for the last 700 years of being on the planet. Totally gone. Now I look and think, you silly cow. You've wasted all that time. No, I haven't. I know I haven't, because I needed to go through that to get me to where I am now. And also, hopefully, to teach you, don't go there. Deal with what's up here. Once you get your mindset right, everything else just falls into place. I got rid of all the stupid, silly beliefs I had about sales conversations. I still don't like the term, because that's not what I do. They're more like decision-making conversations that I have. But I had a mental block the size of Mount Vesuvius about this. I've had it for years, had it ever since I started working with that mentor. It's just ludicrous, ludicrous. And now I know that good stuff comes my way every single day. And it does. What I've learned to do, I mentioned this right at the very beginning, is I've learned to balance the practical left brain stuff with the, I don't know what you want to call it, the emotional, spiritual right brain stuff. For years, I was like this. I knew about this stuff, but it was under a rock. I didn't know how to get to it. And I'd got too much pride to even think and talk about it and ask for help. Fortunately, I started working with mentors who introduced this in a way that I could cope with it, because I don't do total woo-woo. I have my limits. But I learned for a period, this course was all about getting the balance right. And suddenly, when I started to focus more on this side, on the right brain thinking, the understanding that we're all vibrational beings and we all vibrate at certain frequencies, and we can choose that frequency. We can choose whether to feel bleh, or we can choose whether to feel love, joy, and peace. And I'm not saying I've got it right. Oh, believe you me, this morning I was definitely like this. But I realized before I came on this call, I'm not inflicting that crap on you. I have a little technique that I go through now that brings the balance back. And it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. And stuff goes really well. It works. Like I said, during the month of June, did hardly any marketing because I was focusing on the program. I didn't do anything else because I still wasn't feeling very well. And we sent out 4 newsletters, and yet June's overall results were far better than May. Amazing. At the beginning of July, I took a couple of days off. It was either that or be whisked off to the doctor. And Neil was very stern with me. Very stern, yes. He doesn't get grumpy. He's far too blue and horizontal for that, but just. And so I took it was probably about 36 hours, if I'm honest. But for me, that's a lot. And then in July, I started to catch up with some of the stuff that had to be shelved because of this 30-day intensive. The intensive started on the 1st of June. I only made my mind up on the 30th of May, and then had a major problem getting the payments sorted out. It was all technical. It was me. I was making it difficult. Anyway, went through at the 11th hour, and so the 1st of July, I took some time off. And then I did a stupid thing. I signed up for another course. I mean, you have to laugh, because this is my pattern. I love to learn and teach. And I looked at this course and thought, oh, that would be perfect to teach to my consultants. It will, and at some stage I will. But it was another intensive, again about lead generation, but this was about putting systems in place, which we'd never done. The mentors who I've worked with have taken a look at our pathetic attempts of I don't know what the word is, putting systems in place, and they just go, oh, you really ought to do better. But this was about doing that. It was only a short course, just over a week, thank goodness. And I nearly didn't finish it because I didn't finish the last day because I was poorly again, but the content was stonking. And we're already implementing all the lead generation stuff I've been learning. Neil had already decided back in May, after we'd delivered the Colour Your Client online and he had time to breathe, he looked and he realised that we would be bringing our new business, our new complementary business online. And he said, we need to update our website. So he's been beavering away and there's new stuff. It looks fabulous. So it's the new design, new look for the brand. I think that's the in word, isn't it? And now, because of the work I've done on these 2 courses, we've got a plan, we've got a structure. So we'll be able to implement that to make it all run like clockwork. And as I said, I'd love to teach that on later. And yes, July was even better than June, even though during July, I didn't send any marketing out, no newsletters, no marketing for 3 whole weeks. Dear. So if you remember, back in March, we'd intended to raise the prices of all our courses, but COVID struck. So we pivoted, that was the in word at the time, and created a new course that would solve a problem for our consultants. And it also solved our problem in that it massively added to our bottom line in April, May, June, and July. And already we've had sales this month, so it's clear it's going to carry on. We'll be earning from that new course for years. Big tip number 8. What could you create that will produce continual income? Could you create a short program or a course that people could buy off the shelf? Yes, you could, is the answer. Listen, if I can do it, I have to ask other people to help. So can you. I'm a red. I've got quite a bit of pride about I should be able to do this myself. And then I get in my own way and I have to climb down off my high horse and ask for help. But don't forget big tip number 2, 3? Do your research first. Don't just launch this. Do your research. Find out what your customers want and see if that's what they want, and then put your energies into it. So on July the 16th, I ran my first free webinar for almost 1,000 years, called How Having a Plan B Could Seriously Revolutionize Your Life. That's also available on the Colour Your Client online sales page right now. I'll put the link in a bit. And that was why you need a plan B, how to get started, and why this is the perfect time to create your very own plan B. Because a lot of people who'd been hit with the emotions of dealing with COVID, etc., we're now beginning to think this isn't going to be over soon, as I had hoped. I need to start planning for a future with this in my life. Do you see how things had slightly changed? And this was a promotional webinar to encourage people to buy Colour Your Client online before we put the price up again. So that was you need to buy before whatever the date was, I can't remember, but to encourage people to start doing something with their lives, with their skills, with their innate gifts and talents. So big tip number 9. When was the last time you raised your prices? A question you should ask yourself is it time to raise your prices? If it is, then contact everyone and give them time to order before you raise your prices. So give them an expiry date. 5, 7 days. It depends what it is. I'm going to be talking to you in a moment about the ultimate training program. Because that's a serious investment, we're giving people 2 weeks to think about it, to call me if they want, to discuss it, to ask their questions. So it depends on the price as well, and it depends on the content and the value. But think about how you could give your clients 3 days to think about it, 5 days, 7 days before you put the price up. And then get in touch with all your existing clients and prospects. Do you have an email list? Send them a fabulous article to encourage them. Talk about Plan B. Pinch some of the ideas from my webinars. That's what they're there for. Could you post on social media that your prices will be going up, and so for the next 3 people to order, or as long as you book a consultation by Friday, you can get the existing price? Could you write a blog about it? Could you get on the phone to some of your most fabulous people? Could you send them a handwritten card? Yes, they're beginning to make a comeback. Halle, chuffing Luya. Do you realise in this day and age of electronic stuff, to actually receive something through the post, a card, even if it's pre-printed, it really makes an impact. Good grief. Haven't seen one of those since the Ark was built. It really makes you stand out from the crowd. So don't poo-poo it. It's not a daft idea. I've done it myself. And as I said, what could you teach them at the same time? Could you include an article in that handwritten card, or a little note, or an inspiring quote? How can you edutain your clients and prospects while you're raising your prices? Big tip number 10. Is it time to offer your clients a new, new complimentary service? Something that adds to what they've already experienced with you. So if you currently offer color analysis, maybe you want to add style and shape. If you offer style and shape already, maybe you want to add color psychology. People love knowing what personality type they are. Or do you want to add wardrobe weed outs or personal shopping? And yes, you can do all of these online. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So if you're thinking about starting an image business and would like to offer everything, then you should seriously take a look at the Ultimate Image Consultant training program. The Ultimate program contains color analysis training in a box. It also contains the tonal system, which is a training that takes you from tonal to seasonal and seasonal to tonal. It contains the tonal taster training, which is my secret marketing method. That's me actually presenting the tonal taster. So you can see me in action. There's a 17-page script in there, and it's you can copy what I do. There's fabulous personal style in there. There's fabulous shopping and wardrobe. They're in the same training. There's fabulous mindset, motivation, and marketing. There's fabulous color psychology, and there's get more clients. And there are 6 private mentoring calls with me to be used whenever you want them, and 12 months personal email support from me. So you can go to the website and have a look at all the content, but you get lifetime access to all the videos, so you don't have to do all the training now. So as we said in big tip number 10, you're doing color already. You now want to add something on for your clients or would like to do style. Well, if you buy Personal Style on its own, that is £997. You can buy any of these courses on their own. You can't buy Get More Clients on its own. You can buy all the rest on their own. And then you could put all the other programs in the Ultimate Training Program on the shelf. They're there ready for when you want to use them. And you and I would have an introductory call to discuss what you're going to do next. We'd put the plans together for you to make the most of what your clients want. Now, this isn't the 6 mentoring calls. I'm not a coach. We don't set goals. We don't talk about targets and results. These are mentoring calls. So when you think you need to discuss on the phone, Skype, Zoom with me, what you've been doing, where you think you need help, etc., you just book it. So I've got an example of how somebody used this for you. But you've got 12 months of personal email support. So you can send me emails and we'll discuss it, most of it by email. Then you can say, I think we need a call, and you just schedule it. You also get, when I think about this, it's crazy. You also get 5 internationally recognized certificates. You get a certificate with colour analysis in a box, with personal style, with shopping and wardrobe, with mindset and motivation, and with colour psychology. And to get your certificate, if you want, you can schedule a call with me. Now, there's no test. There are no tricky questions because nobody can tell you whether you're right and wrong. The only person who can tell you whether you're right is your client. So most people use those calls as another mentoring call. And I'm happy. So you've just asked me your questions, download my brain. So you could, with the Ultimate Training Program, get 11. This is going to have to change, isn't it? I can see 11 mentoring calls. I'm going to have to change that. So this is how Brunhilde used this. Brunhilde bought this 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago. And she had her initial complimentary call where by the end of it, we'd mapped out her business for the next 6 months. So she still had 6 mentoring calls and 5 diploma calls left to call on whenever she needed them. She scheduled her first mentoring call a month later. She'd already got her first clients based on the work we'd done in the initial call. And so we were discussing how to deliver her one-to-one colour consultations with confidence. So we went through time schedules, content, how to promote them, and how to implement a referral system as well. I didn't hear from her for 2 whole years. She scheduled another call in May this year and told me how she'd had a great colour business running beautifully because we decided to focus her attentions purely on colour because that's what she loved. She might add style later on. That's what we decided 2 years ago. And she'd got a fabulous business. She didn't need any more help. So all we looked at was colour analysis training in the box. She did that training and she hasn't even looked at the 2 tonal trainings, the tonal system and the tonal taster, because she'd got all the clients she needed. However, she rang in May, so it was probably in April. Her partner had just been made redundant. So now, until he could find another job, excuse me, which was looking highly unlikely, they decided they needed to put all their energies together into helping her produce her entire family income from the colour and style business. So in that call in May, we worked on how to raise her prices, how to raise the value, how to find higher paying clients, and how to put together a marketing plan. I'll tell you, in these calls, I do not mess about. We get a lot done. She's been implementing that in June, last week of May and June. And she emailed, I think it was last week, to say now she's added style to her portfolio. So that's what she'd done. She'd added another service. And what she did on my recommendation was got in touch with all her previous clients and offered them a brand new service that complemented their colour analysis. You've had your colours done, you had a great time. Now it's time to look at style and shape, style, personality, and we split it down into lots of different options. And she's going to see all of those clients again. First of all, for a colour refresher, then for style and shape, then for style, personality. She'd got all sorts planned. I think she came up with about 6 different reasons to see these clients again. She's over the moon. So all she did in the last week of May was study Fabulous Personal Style. That was 2 years after she bought the program. She doesn't need all the others yet, but what I've said to her is the next thing we need to work on is we've created an easy client referral system for her, but she wants to take that deeper and get more referrals and get more clients. So I'm going to say to her, I've already said to her, what am I talking about? She needs to study my Get More Clients course because that's written precisely for image consultants. And then also in that call, we spent some time on her mindset because I was telling her what I'd been learning through emails in June. I'd been talking to her what I was learning on my June intensive and how that had changed my whole attitude. So one of the other things she's going to look at is mindset, motivation and marketing course because it's all in there. It's a brilliant course, even though I say so myself. So now Brunhilde is paying all the family's bills easily. And now she's ready to expand her psychological side of a colour and style analysis. And also she wants to bring that to her clients. She didn't include colour psychology before. That wasn't her thing, wasn't her bag. But now she can see that would be a huge add-on. The colour psychology and the style personality she wants to do. So she's going to look at fabulous colour psychology, but not now, because I had to say to her, she's a bit like me, takes on too much. She needs to take time out with the family. She's doing this for the family. Take time out. And then there's room for fabulous personal shopping and wardrobe later on if she wants to do it. Yes, she can offer all of these services online. So do you see, you don't have to learn everything at once. You just put it on the shelf ready for when you need each program. So when you schedule that initial complimentary call, that's what we do. We'll work out what works for you. What works for Flossie and Esmeralda was different from what works for Brunhilde. Brunhilde has made this work for her. She's paying the family's bills. Now the pressure is off her other half to go out and just find any old job. He is hopefully on the cusp of finding something soon because their mindset has changed. They're more relaxed. They've got money coming in. They're paying the bills and he can take his time. They're happier as a family, which is the point, isn't it? So like I said, if the ultimate program isn't for you right now, you can order each of these courses separately. I've always made my training modular. So you can pick the bits you like and ditch the rest. So rather than give you a whole load of web links in here, which is just painful, they're all on the web page for the Ultimate Program. So I'll give you that link in a moment. And then you can click madly and have a look. But don't forget, the price goes up to $3,997 in 2 weeks today. So you've got 14 days to muse and peruse. And if you would like to save 65% off everything, when I say that, it makes me wince. But good for you. If you manage to grab that deal, that's fabulous. Yes, there are payment plans, interest-free payment plans. You can pay over 11 months. And don't forget, EU VAT will be added at the checkout. I have to keep saying that because some people just seriously don't think that. And yes, if you are buying in a different currency, then your card provider will charge you an international exchange fee. Yeah, this is the world of international purchasing. So you can order directly from the website. If you've decided that's what you want, you just order directly from the website. But if you'd like to talk it over, of course, it's a fair investment, and I am very happy to talk with your other half or whoever else makes the financial decisions in your. I was going to say family, but you know what I mean, in your situation. Absolutely, I've spoken with husbands, I've spoken with bank managers before, no problem at all. Quite happy because I just tell it like it is. I'm not going to make anything up. If you want to do that, then book a call with me. I'll put my online scheduler link in here in a minute as well. But let me just carry on. Okay, so that's the ultimate, what's it called? The Ultimate Image Consultant Training Program. Teaches you how to run a business, if that's what you want. So let me go back to my timeline with 2 more big tips. So if you remember, I said in the webinar on the 19th of April, I called How to Create a Crisis-Proof Colour Consultancy. I asked this: if you're at home or have time on your hands, then this is a huge opportunity to learn a new skill, to create a new business that you can easily take online, and to give you choices about what to do when lockdown is finally over. Perhaps a few months later, we're thinking lockdown might never be finally over. So how to cope with dealing with that. So how do you feel about what you were doing before the pandemic lockdown hit? These are the questions I asked. How is this affecting you? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being absolute panic and 1 being carefree, how worried are you about this? Will your job still be available? Do you want to go back to the job or lifestyle you were leading before? And what are you going to do about it? That's what I asked in that training. That training is still available. So big tip number 11, could you ask your clients some of those questions to establish where they are now and where they would really rather be? Could you send out a questionnaire or post this on your social media profile or run a webinar? I did this to find out what my clients' frame of mind was. This is how you find out what people want, where they are. And it also helps you decide if you can provide what they're looking for. Excuse me. Big tip number 12, which I have mislabeled, silly woman. Isn't it time to ask yourself these questions? I'm going to repeat them now. How do you feel about what you were doing before the pandemic lockdown hit? And how is this affecting you right now, several months later? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being absolute panic and 1 being carefree, how worried are you about your future? Will your job still be available? Is your job still available? Like I said, there's loads of big companies closing down, going bankrupt, laying people off. Do you want to go back to the job you had before? Do you want to go back to the way you lived your lives before? We decided no. And what are you going to do about it? This is a moment in life for you to take stock of where you are now and decide how you really, really want to spend the rest of your life. So let me just give you a quick recap on the 12 top tips, and then I'll post those links in the chat for you. So if you remember, we started with how we went from having our worst month ever when coronavirus hit in March to now having a waiting list of clients, and our income just keeps rising every month. And what I've done is picked out 12 big tips to help you kickstart your own business and make 2020 a great year. Your choice. I'm only giving you options. That's my job. So number 1, are you asking your clients what they want? Number 2, do your research before you launch anything. Number 3, your job as a business owner is to identify your ideal client's current problem and decide if you can offer a solution to that. Number 4, what can you do to help your prospects and clients invest with you based on what you learned in your research? Number 5, what can you offer your loyal clients to thank them for being loyal clients? Number 6, you have to keep reminding your prospects and clients that you're still here, that you're still in business, that you still have something to offer them. Number 7, what incentives can you offer your prospects, not your clients, what can you offer your prospects to work with you for the first time? Number 8, what could you create that will produce income continually over the next few years? Number 9, is it time to raise your prices? Number 10, is it time to offer your clients a new complimentary service? Or is it time to get your dream of being an image consultant on the runway with the engines rolling, ready to offer those people who are waiting out there for you to tell them you're available? Number 11, what questions could you ask your clients to establish where they are right now and where they would really rather be, so that you can create services or offer them what they really need? And number 12, ask yourself these same questions. Where are you? What do you really want to do? 2020 does not have to be the end of your dreams. It could be the start of something even better. You see, unless someone can prove otherwise, we're only here once. That's the premise I work on. So please make the most of you and your life. Don't let anyone else bring you down. 2020 could be the year. It could be your year. Your choice. Stop faffing about. Look at all the options. Get advice. And just flip into it. I'm here to help. But my hope is that you will turn 2020 into the year that you've been waiting for, the year where everything changed for the better. So thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Yes, it's been personal. There are places where I could have sobbed out loud, but it's been a period of change for me. I'm going to carry on changing, getting better at what I do, and being around to support you. Inez says, thank you, Kim. Fantastic as always. You see, Inez has already got the Ultimate Programme. The course certainly brings a lot of excitement into this year. I'm enjoying it greatly. I'm delighted that you mentioned that you will have mentoring programs in the future. Yes, that's what I do the bestest of all. And it's probably those of you who are in Aspiring Image Consultants will see that I've already said working with Inez is an absolute pleasure. I mean, she's so unlike me. She's so ladylike and empathetic, all those things I'm not. There's room for so many different types of people. You don't have to be a bossy red diva like me to get into the business. You could be a ladylike, empathetic blue like Inez because she's lovely. And I just want to work with people who want to help other people. That's all. If I can help you do that, Neil feels the same. As long as we're helping you achieve what you want, that's why we do this. I'd love to be blue in a way, but I gave up thinking I can't do it. I just can't do it. It just doesn't work for me at all. I'm red. I celebrate it, and we all need to celebrate who we are, and that's what we can do for our clients as well.